We welcome you to this documentary of a unique man, a story of a one-of-a-kind person. A one-on-one interview told in his own words, a man who had many high points and some few low points. A man of a very strong and toughness but yet a heart of kindness. We welcome you to the story of Rocky Moonblood Walsh.
So let's start with this. Did you move around a lot when you were a kid, Rocky?
Oh yeah, I had to change high schools once, and that's a terrible thing to do to a kid, that's for sure. And I went at a tough time. It was the middle of my 11th grade year. And I grew up in Michigan. I'm in Detroit public schools in Michigan, Birmingham schools. They were nice. I lived in the suburbs. It was nice. But I still went from Michigan in the middle of your 11th grade year to move you. And we moved to South Carolina. So I went from Michigan to South Carolina. It was great about moving me in the middle of my 11th grade year when I'm a total freak. I am the weirdest kid you've ever seen, but everyone knew who I was, and they knew I kept a good grades and didn't do anything wrong, and all of a sudden you moved me to a whole new school. I swear it was like Moses parting the sea when I started at Hilton Head High School, walking down the hallway, and everyone parted out of my way as I stood with my giant combat boots with chains. I wear my combat boots everywhere. Nice and high. Start wearing them to work. Wrong people come in, well, old people say one word to me. Nice shot to the temple, kill them. And my spikes and my ripped up clothes, and no one would talk to me, but they would say from the sidelines, "Hey, where are you from?" And I would say, "Detroit, the murder capital," until I left. And they were like, whoa. I had a great time doing that, and I learned a lot about people because I was allowed to look like that. My parents told me to keep a 3.0, which I did. I showed up for school. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't lie, and I don't steal. 5 rules. And everyone looked at me and said, wow, you look like you do all of those things, but I didn't. And then they feel bad because they misjudged me. I've had a lifetime of people looking at me and going, oh my God, look at that guy. And they've locked their doors. I walk by people, they lock their car doors when they see me. I understand. I like that image, but I've lived that. And then they feel bad that, oh my God, I was wrong about that guy. That's great.
How about sports? Did you do any of that?
Oh yeah, I played a lot of sports. The 70s, most of us did, but the one thing I was really good at was baseball. Started as a little kid with the T-ball and the pony and the Colt, and they moved you up, and they had tryouts back in those days, You tried out for a team, and they put you in position, and then you got drafted on a different team. It was really cool. I did that, and I was really bad at it. And I used to pull, I was afraid I was going to get hit by the ball. I was afraid the pitcher was going to hit me with the ball, and I was scared. So I would pull my pants up as high as I could at my knee and crouch down and just try and get a walk. And I would just wince when the ball would go by. And I'd be scared up until I was 13. And then when I was 13, I fell in love with Mr. T. And all of a sudden, I became Mr. T when I played baseball. And my baseball changed because now I went to the plate and I was no longer scared. I was mad at the pitcher. And I would get in there and I would dig in and I would grunt, the loudest grunt you ever heard when I would swing. I would go, growl at the pitcher, and then I would go, and then I would pace back and forth really fast, and then I would bang the bat on the plate and stare up at the pitcher and go, and then swing. And then I hit that ball and it would go because I had been bodybuilding for a few years by the age of 13. I started at about 11 or 12, so it was a sight to see. I wish I had video of me playing baseball as Mr. T, and I would yell over the Mr. T-isms too. Hey fools, you ready for another beating? You should have never came back. All my Mr. T lines. So I was good at sports because I worked out and thought I was Mr. T.
So when did you start lifting weights, Rocky?
I started lifting weights way early, and that was before anyone ever did that. I was about the age of 11. I started working out in my basement with weights. My parents got me those big red weights, and I would work out my arms, and everyone started making fun of me at school. And I told them I was working out and telling me, no, you're not allowed to work out. You're too young. It'll stunt your growth. What are you going to do when you get old? It all turns to fat. Everyone had things to say to me about it. I started at 11, and then I kept on. I kept with it, and I started at 13 doing martial arts. My parents paid a guy to come over and private teach it. So I did martial arts and weightlifting in my basement. My whole basement basement became a gym. So by age 15, I had had 4 years of bodybuilding and 3 years of stretching and doing American kickboxing at age 15. So I was taking pictures at age 15 of me in the basement already working out with karate poses and giving them to girlfriends from different schools, and they're like, this guy is a psycho, and memorizing all these tough guy movies, and I was using all those lines. I became Mr. T and Sylvester Stallone and utilized all their energy and their lines in my youth, and I had such a great time. Never got in any trouble, and I looked like this. That's crazy.
So what was your first car, Rocky? What did you drive back then, back in the day?
My first car was like a 77 Toyota Corolla my parents gave me. It was a stick shift. I learned how to drive with the stick, which is important. And then when we moved to Hilton Head, I begged my dad for a car I saw on the side of the road. It was $1,500, and he walked up and said, all right, we'll give you $1,200 for this 78 gold Trans Am. And they took it. They sold me a 78 gold Trans Am for $1,200, and that was my second car. And that was my identity. I loved that car. That was the greatest car in the world, except the flywheel and the crankshaft didn't match. It kept burning through clutches, and I couldn't afford it.
That's why I'm a wanted man.
I had to eventually trade that awesome 78 gold Trans Am for an 85 Ninja. I did an even title swap, and then I became a Ninja guy and rode different Ninjas on that island. I can't believe I lived through 3 different Ninjas riding Ninja.
Gotta hear it run to appreciate it.
From the Trans Am to the Ninja. Those were the 80s. Now I'm the Lost Boys guy. It was crazy.
Did you do any plays or any acting in school when you were young?
I did some organized things. When I was a kid, I did some school plays. I had the acting bug. And then it wasn't until I moved to Orlando that I got Headshots. And that got me the Mortal Kombat role, which at first it was just extra work. Started as extra, then I got moved to featured extra, which means I'd start scenes by carrying the card or something like that. Things were going good. I was about to get a speaking role on Mortal Kombat when it got canceled. But that was all right. I was with the Greatest Hits stunt team at the time. I was getting some bad guy roles. Things were going great with me. And that's when I got a girl I was dating pregnant, which led to my daughter, which put my whole acting career on pause for the next 15 years or so, right?
I see. So you stopped your acting career for a little bit to raise your daughter.
Yeah, I'd call it a pause, because I just stopped all of that and I went to full-time dad mode. You don't know how much you can love something until you have a child. And all of a sudden I had this beautiful daughter and I loved her more than anything in the world. I still do. And I dropped everything and I just did that. I quit working for a few years, and I'd already saved money, and being an actor, you just don't need a lot to live. And I would just take care of my daughter. I spent all my time with this child, and it was the best 11 years of my life. And then from 12 to 15 was rough. That's just how it goes. And now she's 19 and things are awesome. And I have a 19-year-old daughter. And when she was about 15, she went, all right, Dad, whatever you were doing before, go back to whatever you were doing. I was like, oh. And that's when I unpaused my acting career and started making my own films again.
So what made you start filming, Rocky?
I guess it's just in my DNA. I had a normal mom and a normal dad. And my older brothers and I would make our own movies. It was great. I could cast myself wherever I wanted. And I started at a young age, and I realized, why should I move out to LA and be in their movies when I can just cast myself in my own movies? So I started making my own movies, writing them, directing them, editing them. And I made about 100, 150 different little movies. I made horror movies, the Indigo Run Chainsaw Massacre, stuff like that. I made comedies. I made martial art movies. I made documentaries, I made films, and I didn't care where I filmed them. I went and did everything. And no one was filming back in those days. And I was filming all kinds of things. Music videos. I went everywhere to make music videos. I had tons of different hairstyles in different music videos. I was just filming all kinds of things. At least 150 different movies in the 80s and 90s that I went and filmed all on my own. It was great, but I had no way to just put it out there. I wasn't in LA or New York, and I had no way to get the stuff out there. There was no YouTube or anything like that. I had 150 movies, and I had no way to put it out there to the world.
When did you start playing musical instruments, Rocky?
I've been playing instruments my whole life, but I started playing the guitar and singing about age 15. I was in my first band in 9th grade. By 11th grade, when I moved to Hilton Head, I was in a cool band called Masquerade, and we played out at teen clubs on Hilton Head Island. That was bad because I was a bad singer and I sang through a bass amp, which didn't help me at all. I must have some footage of that somewhere. So I went back to guitar and I practiced this time, and I got some good teachers and I got better at it. And my brother gave me one of his original songs called Dark Horse, and I got with this drummer and we started playing an original song called Dark Horse. That was great. It was just the two of us. We'd probably be better if there was more of us, right?
Dark Horse.
That was in Savannah, and then I moved to Atlanta and I was in some bands, and then I moved to Orlando and I was in a cool band called Lifted Veil, and we played the whole downtown Orlando circuit. That was really neat. I was a bass player in that band. That was a really cool opportunity, and I still play today. I practice every day. I practice today, and I play through the same amp. I bought an amp in the 90s in Savannah and I still use it every day, the same amp. That's crazy, right? This amp has been through and with me through half my life, right? And still jamming. I love this amp. Entertainer. Turkish March.
Did you ever do any workout videos?
Oh yeah, I used to go to a gym called Main Event in Atlanta where all the wrestlers worked out. Right before it closed, I would go in and set up my tripod and everything and pick a corner and start making workout videos. How to train triceps with Jimmy and Rocky. The Rocky and Jimmy workout show. And we'd go in there and film this stuff and make these workout shows and posing, how to pose and do all this, but we had no way to put it out there. I was making workout videos in 1992 and no one's ever seen them.
So how did you get the nickname Mr. Arms, Rocky?
Mr. Arms, that was a nickname I had, and it was a mean nickname. They used to make fun of me at the gym. I was about 19 and I worked at this nightclub where I bar-backed. And when I get there, I'd have to stock all this stuff upstairs. So I'd carry ice and beer and kegs up and down these stairs. And at the end of the night, I'd take all the trash out and take it out to the dumpster and lift it up and dump it into the dumpster. So all I needed was arms. So every day I went to the gym and I trained one body part. So 6 or 7 days a week, I go to the gym and I train arms. Every day, arms, arms, arms. So all the guys in the gym in Savannah started making fun of me. Oh, here he comes, here he comes. Hey dude, what are you training today? And I'd say, arms, and they'd all bust out laughing. Mr. Arms is training arms. How you doing there, Mr. Arms? This one guy, if he was there, he would go like this. Clear the arm area. Clear the arm area. How you doing there, Mr. Arms? Mr. Arms is here. Clear that arm area. Mr. Arms. And I was like one big arm. I didn't train back, legs, nothing, just arms. Turned into a big arm. Eventually I had to start working out and catching up. But that's how I got the nickname, Mr. Arms.
What kind of films do you like making, Rocky?
I like filming all kinds of movies. I guess my favorite would be martial art movies because I've been doing it so long. I mean, I used to teach cardio kickboxing classes. I used to do nunchucks from the small kid to today. I still doing nunchucks. Love making martial art movies. I like making movies with people. I like doing all that stuff. Workout videos are great. I've been hitting that flick bag, punching things, working out, doing stuff my whole life. So I like to do all those videos and I take direction well. I've been doing it for 40 years, right?